Uh, Hello from Magic Land Farms. Today I would like to talk about the weird looking squash that my customers have been curious about. This, another example. It's called the blue Hubbard. It belongs in the Hubbard family of squash. It's a winter squash. There are many other types of Hubbards. You know, there's the green and the orange Hubbards. And also, there was also one called Red Warty Thing, but it also belonged to the Hubbard family. This was one of the early squashes that my father used to grow. Actually, it was the first year he bought the farm. He planted some of the blue Hubbards, had a really good crop of them, and stored them in his house, and they had blue Hubbard all the way through April. So there are actually, once in a while, they were the longest keepers of all the squash. I have kept them till April sometimes. They don't always make it, but some of them do. The customers, other than just wondering what in the world it is, do ask if it's edible, which it is, and it's one of the reasons I grow it is because I like it so much to eat. Another one of the questions is how do you cook it? And my normal response would be that it's cooking the same way as all the other squash. I like to roast them. And the next question is, how do you cut it? That is tricky. You do have to be somewhat confident in your knife skills so you don't cut yourself. I don't have much of a problem, but some of my customers do. They have kind of figured out a way of getting around that, which is known as, I'm labeling it the concrete method, which is taking a blue Hubbard and dropping it on the concrete. Then you would proceed to scoop out the seeds and cutting it up into smaller chunks, putting it on a cookie sheet or a roasting pan, and then roast it. Then you can just scoop the flesh away from the skin. And for some of you people that like to eat pumpkin seeds, they do have large edible seeds in them also. I think what I will show is actually roasting some of this and using it in two of my three favorite ways of using it. I'll roast it and then have it with just a little, mash it up almost like mashed potatoes, and then have it with a little bit of brown sugar on top. That's really good. But then I'll also make pumpkin custard out of it. That's another one of my favorite ways to use this squash. The third favorite way takes too long and I don't really want to do it at this point, is to make squash lasagna. Maybe for some other video. But yeah, until then. I showed you how I did the cracking open of the Hubbard down at the farm on the concrete. Now I'll just show you how I do it with a knife, which in this case just requires a bit of muscle. And you have to be somewhat careful not to slice yourself. Like that. Then I would just take a spoon and scrape away the seeds. And once that's been scraped away, I would just cut it up a little more. And once you remove the seeds, you can place it on a cookie sheet and bake it in the oven at about 400 degrees for about an hour to hour and a half, depending on how much squash you have. Afterwards, I'll show you what you will do with it. And now that they're been roasting for about an hour and a half, a little bit more in this case, if you want to look at it, I will be just using a spoon to scoop off the flesh off the skin. I'll just put it into a container so I then can mash it up later. It is all set to eat. If you wanted this as a side dish, you can just put it on the plate and sprinkle a little bit of brown sugar on it, which is delicious that way. But in a little bit I'll show you how I put it together to make some pumpkin custard. And now that we have it in a pot, I can use a potato masher and just mash it up. This is getting it ready for some pumpkin custard. Now we're going to make the pumpkin custard. I'm going to be doubling the recipe, so the ingredients you see will be in, twice what it should be. Mainly because we like to eat our pumpkin custard, so I need to make enough. In this case, this would be 4 cups of the Hubbard that we just cooked. It's still hot, which is fine. Okay, and then it's 1.5 cups of sugar. In other words, 3/4 cups per recipe. And 1 can of evaporated milk per recipe. So this one's going to take 2 cans. And I would stir this first. Four eggs, or 2 eggs per recipe. Now when it comes to the cinnamon and spices, you can put nutmeg in it and so forth. I personally like it mildly spiced, so I only put a teaspoon of cinnamon. A little bit of salt, and in this case about a teaspoon for the twice the recipe. In other words, half a teaspoon per recipe. Mix well. A little hand blender can be used, but as you can see, a spoon is good enough. And then, once mixed, pour into a glass dish that can comfortably hold all of it. In this case, this is 4-quart dish. And then bake it in the oven at 350 until, for me, I like that nice leathery top. I wait until it basically has a crack in the middle. That's usually good enough. Or you can just take a fork or other probe to make sure that it comes out fairly clean. It's a custard, so you want it to set. And to make sure, I'm going to do a quick test to make sure it's set well. Looks good. Time to eat. And a dollop of ice cream. And that's one of our favorite ways of using Hubbard squash. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, and bye for now.